And as always, take your calls here on News Talk WSIC.
Fernhill Baptist Church is a traditional fundamental congregation located in Troutman. Hear them Sunday mornings at 8:15 here on WSIC. Listen on demand, WSICFM.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Good morning, Lake Norman. This is Cornelius, Mayor Woody Washam, and it is a pleasure to be with you today. A bright, sunny, but crisp day here in the town of Cornelius. I guess it is winter. Sometimes we complain about the temperature, but it is that time of year. It is January, and it is in the middle of winter. So I guess that just all fits the plan. So we've got an awesome topic that you're going to be totally interested in today. We hear a lot in the town of Cornelius about our growth or lack thereof or too much. It's across the map. So I just thought it was appropriate as we're still kicking off this new year to make sure you knew the truth about the growth process in Cornelius. And I think one of the things you'll find out is probably not growing as fast as you think it is. So just stand by for the statistics on the Cornelius growth, because that is a hot topic, as it should be for our citizens. Most of that is driven by traffic and transportation here in our community. And one of the individuals on our staff that is in the middle of all of this, I brag on our staff so much with our town. That's what makes my job work or not work, or happen or not happen, or be good or bad many days. But our staff is awesome, and one of those awesome staff members is one of our newer staff members in the town of Cornelius, and that would be our planning director, Rox Burhans. So, Rox, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pleasure to be here.
It's a great pleasure to have you, and you brought a lot to our town over a couple of years now you've been with us?
Yes, sir.
And a lot of new dimensions. You had a great mentor who did this job for years, and that would be Wayne Herron. But he's moved on to some higher things there in the town, and but still is involved in the circle of planning in our town as well. But at the same time, we do have a fairly new planning director. He probably doesn't feel like he's new anymore. He probably feels sort of worn out at this point, but there are things happening in the town of Cornelius, and but actually with your background and experience, it's really making it's a nice, fresh, new approach in many cases to the planning process. So tell me about you, Rox, and I know some of this,
Sure.
but I want our listeners to hear that as well. So, how did you get in this business? Where'd you go to school and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. No, thank you. First, let me just kick off and introduce my family. So I am married and have one daughter, a 13-year-old seventh grader, and we have lived in the Charlotte area for probably 23, 24 years and just absolutely loved it. And so in terms of getting into the playing field, I got my bachelor's degree in political science from Florida State University. That's actually a tough school to recognize these days with our football record. But
Sure.
I got involved in kind of government through that political science degree, and was always trying to put my finger on where I wanted to point my career. And so as I got into the world and working, I was actually doing a lot of traveling for business, and I just got really curious about the growth and development of cities. How do these projects come out of the ground? How do roads get planned where they do, and why are some roads being improved and others not? And things, just curiosity questions. And so I just started leaning into that.
All good questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just kind of kept leaning more, attending public meetings, and just trying to educate myself and just answer the questions that I had bouncing around in my head. and that's where I ultimately landed into city planning. And so it's actually a career profession. A lot of people don't know that. You tell them you're a planner, and they want to know what parties have you planned lately, or
Sure.
or what trips do you plan for people. And I have to. There's a little bit of an education process that it is actually a very defined and with a career field with a lot of legacy to it. And so I got my master's degree in urban regional planning from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville.
Oh,
And
awesome.
so great program there. Very and one of the reasons I chose it is it was a practitioner's program. I wasn't going to go on to be a professor or something of that sort, or some sort of an academic career. I wanted to work in the field at a hands-on level,
Hmm.
and it's a good program for that. And so from there, I actually I was in my mid-20s, and I was ready to see the world. I wanted to see some more places, so I went as far as I possibly could for my first job, which was actually out to the Seattle, Washington area.
Goodness.
Moved out there sight unseen. I just connected with some folks out there at a conference and just had a good connection. It was a place in our country I wanted to see and learn more about. So I went out there for three or so years. Loved it. Had a great experience. Met my wife there, but knew I was not going to make my permanent home there. I knew I was going to get back to the Southeast where I grew up. It's just a culture I'd more closely identify with. It's a weather I more closely identify with. The gray skies definitely
Sure.
get to you in the Northwest. It's real. The struggle is real.
It is real.
So I came back to the Southeast and moved to the Charlotte area, and I've been working Cornelius is my fourth community in the Charlotte region that I've been working for. Feel very blessed to have the opportunity to work for the town of Cornelius. It's just such a great place to work, but also to live and build a business. And so just feel very fortunate to have this opportunity, which I've been here for, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, just a little under 2 years. And so the time does fly, though.
It really does. It's amazing. It's amazing to me how much you've learned and how quickly you learned it.
Oh,
I
thank
guess
you.
we threw you into the frying pan,
Sure.
and you sink or swim in that process. But you're swimming well, and
Thank you.
that's a that is certainly meant as a compliment.
I appreciate. I've had good mentors, as you said. I've had some really good mentors. Yourself, the support of the board of commissioners, and also the leadership team for the town of Cornelius. Just some great support, helping back me up and helping make me successful.
Yeah, yeah. We try to think of ourselves as a little different in Cornelius.
Sure.
I'm pretty proud of that. I don't think we're
Absolutely.
just the everyday, ordinary town government here. So,
Mhm.
and that's pretty special to me, being it's my hometown and all
Of
that
course.
good stuff. I mean, to be appropriate and responsive to our citizens is an awesome trait. I think that we pride ourselves in. So, from your experience in at other agencies around, uh, I guess this general area. So how do you see us different here?
Sure. I think you hit the nail on the head on a key distinction is I think that you have not only at the elected leadership level, but also at the staff level, a lot of close connection with the citizens and making sure that we're always thinking about providing an exceptional service to them. And I think that is definitely a unique element to many other, in comparing us to many other local governments in the area. I think Cornelius' citizens are also very passionate about the community, about whether it's the parks, whether it's planning and development, whether it's public safety, and that's just a great environment to work in to have an engaged community. In that it can achieve much better outcomes that way, and so I think those are just two distinguishing features.
No doubt about it. They are certainly engaged. We've got a lot more to talk about today, and before you know it, we'll be right back. Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam right here.
There's more About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on the way from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, we're emerging a bit from our big chill yesterday. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures will climb back up to around 50 for this afternoon, even some low 50s in some spots around Lake Norman. Tonight, we'll drop it back into the mid and upper 20s once again, back into the low and mid 50s for our Friday. We'll kick off our weekend on a bit of a wet note. Looks like rain likely for our Saturday morning. A bit drier for the afternoon and an isolated shower possible for our Sunday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like Greystone Lodge in Boone.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Thursday, January 16th, Ryan Winters performs at Bin 110 in Cornelius. Lake Norman's upscale night spot has over 450 whiskeys, 100 wines, and a full cocktail list to go through their live music lineup every Thursday through Saturday. Kick off the weekend early with the Ryan Winters music performance Thursday at Bin 110. Friday night, Bill Douglas performs at the Wine Maestro in Statesville. Join Bill for your favorite pop acoustic songs of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, plus flavorful originals. Bill Douglas performs in downtown Statesville Friday night at the Wine Maestro. Beer Lab in Mooresville presents their Paint and Sip Date Night series this Saturday. Come with your significant other or get your friends together for a fun night of painting and sipping. Meg Art Pottery will bring a variety of painting pieces to choose from. Your $30 ticket includes one pottery piece, paint, glaze, and firing. We will see you Saturday for the Paint and Sip Date Night series at Beer Lab in Mooresville. 'Tis the season to lace up your skates at Birkdale on Ice, happening now through January 26th. Birkdale Village in Huntersville has their ice skating rink ready, and they can't wait to lace up their skates with you. Ice skating reservations to ensure skating time slots are accepted. Walk-ups are also welcome. Go to BirkdaleVillage.com for details, information, and tickets to Birkdale on Ice. At Charlotte Motor Speedway, the action does not stop at being just a spectator at a race. You can drive a NASCAR race car by yourself. If you are looking to grab the wheel and drive a race car or take a NASCAR ride-along, then the Richard Petty driving experience will give you an unforgettable time. Book the Richard Petty driving experience today at 704-886-2400. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for details and more information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Call now to speak with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam at 844-STUDIO-4. It's About Town on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
That's right. Call us and ask us for questions. I know that there's questions about the planning process and what's going on in Cornelius. And if you don't dial this number, that would be the studio number right here where we are is 844-STUDIO-4, 844-STUDIO-4, and ask us a question. We would love to entertain your thoughts and your questions, and certainly invite you to give us a call. So I think it's important that we talk about the planning process, Rox. Rox Burhans, our planning director, here with me today. Things begin with our planning department. If there's a dream, a thought, or just an idea somebody may have, there's so much that starts with our planning department. And, there's things out there called zoning and land use plans and ordinances, and the list goes on that may affect a person's dream or plan in terms of a new business in our town or a new housing development. So Rox, it starts with you guys. They talk to somebody on your staff, and what kind of staff you have, first of all? Tell us a little bit about your
Sure.
staff and what they actually do. How do you split up those duties?
Sure. We have a great team in the planning department, and so the planning department does a lot of interesting things that are probably pretty obvious to a citizen or a business owner, or things that may not be so obvious. So one of the things we do is we're from the big picture standpoint is we're always kind of looking forward into in the community. We know where Cornelius is today. But where does Cornelius want to be tomorrow? Where does it want to be in 10 years or 20 years? So we're always trying to have that long view of it. And so one of the ways that we kind of go through that kind of a process is with something you mentioned already, is our land use plan. Our land use plan is our long-term guide for future growth and community development. And it's not just developed by staff in the back, the back offices, but it's actually a public process that involves our appointed and elected officials and citizen feedback, and just helps us have a better structure for how growth in the community should occur long term. Other ways we look at long-term, long range planning is actually at a more granular level. We're actually kicking off or have kicked off a development of a downtown master plan. I mean,
Yeah, we're gonna get back to that.
we'll get back to that.
That's a big one.
It's a big one, but it's an exciting one.
Sure.
And so that's just another example. But staff is also involved with doing just kind of more day-to-day things, such as when a homeowner wants to come in and build a home. We check to make sure that the home's built in the right location and complies with our watershed ordinances from the state, and we also work with business owners who maybe want to build a new building or something, coming in with maybe even a new, large commercial development, new grocery store or something like that. We would work with them to make sure that it met local regulations for building placement, parking, landscaping, and things like that. But we also do other services at a day-to-day level, which include code enforcement. That we enforce. Sometimes you see when driving down some of our major roads, West Catawba, Westmoreland Road, you see little stick in the ground signs, like yard sale type signs, stuck throughout. Well, we don't allow those, and so we kind of monitor that and make sure we're maintaining a clean and attractive community, because that's the expectation of our citizens and business community. So we stay active with code enforcement as well. So we have a lot of touch points in the planning department, and of course we're always there if a citizen has a question. They can certainly give us a call. They can walk in at any time, and we're there to be a resource to help them in any way we can.
Exactly. So when a project, let's just say there is this project for a grocery store,
Absolutely.
or mainly a commercial project, but really any project in town. It could be a housing project
Absolutely.
or apartment project. Once it gets out of your department, how's it travel from there?
Absolutely. No, good question. So, as you mentioned, there's always some preliminary conversations and discussions amongst staff, and if a property owner or developer decides with this commercial building decides they want to kind of move it through, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, a property will require to be rezoned. Every property in the community is zoned. It tells you what you can do on the property. Can you build a house? Can you build a commercial building? How big? How tall, etc. Oftentimes, those classifications need to be changed for something significant like a new commercial building. And so, we have a really great process in Cornelius, and it goes back to that involvement not only with our board of commissioners but also our citizens. And we typically kick that off with what's called a pre-development review committee. And that committee is staffed by two commissioners. You also attend mayor of those meetings, as well as the chairs of our advisory committees. And we kind of allow property owner or developer to come in and do an initial introduction of their project to get early feedback. Hey, am I on, from the developer's perspective, am I on the right path? Do you see any major issues I need to be aware of? And this is such a valuable process, and at the early stage, because it tells that developer or property owner, hey, this, before they invest too much money, hey, I might have a viable concept, or you know what, this is not a good fit for Cornelius. I'm gonna maybe go and do something different.
My take on that, and I sit in on those committees as often as I can, is that it can save these developers money.
Absolutely.
Because if they're going spending a lot of money on architectural drawings or engineering efforts and things of that nature, or just their own time in these projects, it could be thousands of dollars that they can spend to go nowhere.
Absolutely.
So I think the feedback they get in that initial meeting from the group you described is a really good service to not only our citizens but our developers. It is a public meeting too, by the way, right?
Yes, sir. There is. We always make sure there's some audience seating for anyone that is curious or just wants to drop in and learn some more. So, and you're absolutely right. It saves the developer not only time and money, because oftentimes they may have a fantastic project, but maybe it's just not a good fit for Cornelius. It's be a better fit in another location or in another community, and that's fine. But they get that information early, so they haven't wasted too much time or money, and they oftentimes feel better, getting that feedback early versus later in the process. And other times we find a great project, and they get positive feedback, and they go through the process from there. But going back to the rezoning process, it really starts with that pre-development review committee. And if the developer decides they want to kind of move forward from there, then they would submit a rezoning application. Those applications get reviewed by staff at a technical level. We look at the long range plan and other resources to provide technical feedback. Then one of the early steps is that we go out to the community. We hold a community meeting because again, we want the citizens to be well aware of what's going on and have an opportunity to ask questions and get clarification on projects or express concerns. And so another unique aspect about Cornelius, which I think is a big positive, is we send those community meeting notices out a half mile, and so that's a really big notice because we want to bring in as many people as possible. And then from the community meeting, the developer still needs to go before our planning board, which is a group of Cornelius citizens that have an interest in planning and development and contributing towards the community. And that planning board makes a recommendation to the town board, who ultimately makes the final decision in that process. And again, all these steps are public steps. Nothing is held in private. And so the citizens or other interested folks have an opportunity to sit in and share their thoughts.
So you're our staff conduit to the planning board. Very important board in our town.
Yes, sir.
I think that's around a 10-member board, 9 or 10?
About 9, yes, sir, 9.
9, and meet monthly?
Yes, sir.
Or as needed.
Yes.
So that's a awfully critical step. But what has amazed me is how many opportunities that citizens have to provide feedback in all this entire process.
Yes,
and
sir.
Quite a few. Help me add them up. So I guess there would be a little process in the pre-planning.
Yes, sir. That pre-development. Yeah, we got community meeting, which that's the entire process is about.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, so we've got the community meeting, we've got the planning board, and there's 2 meetings with town board. And again, these are all public meetings. There's an opportunity for public comments at the community meeting, planning board, and town board. And so there's and if folks just can't make it to a meeting or just feel uncomfortable speaking in public, they can always send feedback to staff via email or otherwise, and we can certainly share that in our reports. And so there's ample opportunities to share public feedback.
Yeah, anything hitting our email is public.
Yes, sir.
We
That is correct.
certainly know that. So keep that in mind too for folks that want to provide that feedback. So very thorough but public process. I know it's certainly evolved over my 12 years of being an elected official, and I think we're in a real good spot. I've seen some of our surrounding towns emulate some of the things we do here, like our pre-development committees and things like that.
I get so much good feedback on when new planners or other public officials learn about that. They're like, "Wow, what a smart idea that is."
Yeah, that's been a big win for us, I think, to do that. And we like to consider our town of Cornelius a business-friendly environment, if you will,
Yes, sir.
as it relates to development. But there's such a no-growth element to our community, particularly as it relates to traffic impact and things of that nature. It's pretty tough for a major project to get approved here. And this is probably something we'll have to go in our next segment to talk about a little bit. But at the same time, it's pretty tough to, I think, make the way through our process. And it includes a lot of different steps.
Yes, sir.
And I'm mainly asking this so you'll focus a little bit on transportation and traffic.
Okay.
How is that looked at?
Absolutely. It is looked at very thoroughly through what's called the traffic impact analysis process, where a large project comes in. They need to have an expert analyze their traffic impacts and identify specifically, what road improvements are needed to mitigate any traffic impacts they're making.
That's an awesome step, and we'll talk more about that when
Yes,
we
sir.
come right back. So be sure to tune back in for the last half of our show, and Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam, and we'll be right back.
Washam, coming up on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
We're emerging a bit from our big chill yesterday. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures will climb back up to around 50 for this afternoon, even some low 50s in some spots around Lake Norman. Tonight we'll drop it back into the mid and upper 20s once again, back into the low and mid 50s for our Friday. We'll kick off our weekend on a bit of a wet note. Looks like rain likely for our Saturday morning. A bit drier for the afternoon and an isolated shower possible for our Sunday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
How about savings off a brand new car? Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville. We've got our service loaners with just a few thousand miles on them. Save thousands of dollars on all makes and models. That's F-150, Expedition, Explorers, Lincolns, Corsair, Navigator. I tell you, these cars are like brand new. Never been titled. You're the first owner. Save thousands. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, I-77, right here in Statesville. You know where we are, folks. Right where the spinning car is. That's where the deals are. Randy Marion Ford Lincoln. Come see us today.
Our military faces a crisis. Recruitment down. Morale weak. Our leaders more focused on going woke than killing terrorists and defending America. President Trump nominated Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense to change things. Hegseth isn't an insider or a swamp dweller. He's a decorated veteran of the United States Army who deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan. And he's exactly who we need leading the Department of Defense. Hegseth will ban woke nonsense from our armed forces, strengthen our military, and make our soldiers proud to serve. Call your United States Senator at 202-224-3121. Tell them stand with Trump. Confirm Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. Again, call your senator at 202-224-3121. Tell them to vote to confirm Pete Hegseth and make our military great again. Paid for by American Leadership PAC.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
New lunch specials now available at Mooresville's best Italian spot, Pomodoro's. Open Tuesday through Sunday and ready to serve you the best Italian this side of the motherland. View the mouth-watering menu at Pomodoros.com.
Hey, it's Kevin Harrison with Harrison's. Now's the time to load up on layers. From lightweight long-sleeve t-shirts to heavy-duty Sherpa-lined coats and everything in between, Harrison's has what you need to work safe and work warm all winter long. Come see us on Norman Station Boulevard in Mooresville.
Nothing but the best talk.
The area's best talk.
WSIC.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. In the video game business, 8 years is a really long time, so Nintendo's nearly 8-year-old Switch console is quite due for an update. Now it's getting one. Nintendo says it's set to reveal the next generation Switch 2 on April 2nd, so no fooling. A teaser video suggests it will be similar in concept and design to the original. The company hopes to sell more than 20 million consoles in its first year. Walmart is going to work more closely with robots. It struck a deal with warehouse robotics company Symbotic, which already provides automated services at all 42 of Walmart's U.S. regional distribution centers. Symbotic will now develop tech to move items ordered online for pickup or delivery through stores. And to do it, it's buying Walmart's own systems and robotics business for $200 million, even as Walmart agrees to pay more than $500 million for Symbotic's new system. Stock indexes lower. Dow, NASDAQ, S&P 500 each losing about 0.25%. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
It ain't easy being number one, but we make it look good.
WSIC.
About Town continues now. Here's your host, Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam, on 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
And we're back. Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam right here with our planning director in the town of Cornelius, Mr. Rox Burhans. Happy to have you here again, Rox. It's great for you to take your time and talk about this planning process that we think is a pretty good one. So, as we have worked through this conversation, I guess one of the biggest things that I have learned as an elected official is it's really hard to make everybody happy.
Sure.
As you work your way through a process, and you really have to end up making decisions and that's usually the elected officials that end up with making those big important decisions. And let me make one thing clear: the mayor does not vote. The mayor does not typically vote unless there's a tie, which I think has only happened that I was required to vote a couple of times in almost 8 years in office as mayor, and so it rarely happens. But commissioners have a tough job. They really do. There's a lot they have to weigh out. I mean, there's no backroom deals that I've ever noticed in my 12 years, either being a commissioner or a mayor. But it is a hard process, and so many of our citizens, I wish they could put themselves in our place, where we're trying to make a good decision on behalf of all the citizens. And I think our board truly tries to do that. And it doesn't always agree with everybody. It really doesn't.
That's life, isn't it? Though, I mean, it's hard to
truly
make
is.
everybody happy.
It truly is, and so I think there's a real mentality going on out there, not just in our community but everywhere, about not in my backyard, NIMBY. Not in my backyard, folks. And, I don't think that's ever going to go away.
Sure.
But I really wish there could be a higher understanding of what your board's trying to achieve. So with that said, you get a lot of elements of feedback and conversations, whether it's on planning board level or town board level to deal with. So, what makes a project tough? What are the elements of a project that make it difficult, particularly to citizens?
I think that it's a great question. There's a lot of elements that can make a project tough, but I think that part of it is not when a project gets tough is when there hasn't been sufficient time to kind of learn a little bit more about the community and what kind of represents a good fit for the community. So much of what we work on, at least for larger projects, we're always looking to see, hey, does it fit our plans? Is it consistent with our vision? But also, is it adding something to the community? Because that's something we always want to deliver to our citizens, that there is a value add with a given project. And so, oftentimes, if that early thinking hasn't been done, that can kind of make a project tough. Other elements that can is if there's not engagement. We all have busy lives. I know I do. I certainly know you do with your various commitments. And it's hard for folks to always stay fully engaged on a process or on a project. They're busy with work and family, and so I think if they come into a process late in the game, that can also be tough. So I always encourage our citizens that if you stay in touch with stay in touch with the town. Sign up for our email communications and like our various social media outlets, and so you can get information about what's going on in the town. Certainly, if you are driving around, you see one of our blue and white little sandwich board signs. That means something might be happening on at a site in the community. Write down the case number, or just give us a call. We also have a map on our website that shows where all the projects are happening. But do the best you can to stay engaged early in the process, so you can learn and share your feedback if it's something that interests you. So I think when folks come into it late in the game, that makes it tough.
It really does. And, I think that's an important element of advice, because you see so many questions getting asked out on social media. That is not a way for anybody to respond, particularly at your level or
Absolutely.
my level, to explain what a project's like. You just can't do it in that medium. You just cannot do it. But a phone call, you can.
I think.
Or how many meetings? I mean, you're happy to meet with people, aren't you?
Absolutely. And we just had one yesterday. We had a citizen who emailed us, the various staff, and I think even maybe the board members, about a project. And that was one of the first things we did was, hey, you're asking great questions. We have so much information to share with you. It's really tough via email or Why don't you come in and meet with us? We'll sit down. We'll break out the maps and kind of show you and a little bit more of what this project is about. And you may like the project, you may not, but you'll
have the
room.
information.
You'll have the information. You'll have an informed opinion on the project, and you'll also know what are the next steps in the process if you choose to contribute. So
Right.
You're absolutely right. There needs to be that personal communication, whether it's on the phone or coming in for a meeting, and we are there to support our citizens in that way.
Well, it's funny. I guess many times citizens will email me or text me or call me, and my suggestion always to them is, and I'll send them back my cell phone number and say, hey, this deserves a conversation. If you would call me, I will meet with you at your convenience, and we'll talk this through. And I want you to have the information so you can make a good decision about where you stand on it. And I don't think I have ever gotten a call back when I have, sent that invitation out. I can't ever remember getting a call back. Maybe one time. And I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just trying to make sure they've got information.
That's all you can. Yeah.
And so that's really, really all you could hope for. So, it's been an interesting experience to, I don't know, maybe there's some people who want to complain about whatever. Now, I think another little piece of it as we talk about this process we're going through is, there's an element of I think, property rights that folks have that, enters into the picture. I'm a big believer in property rights personally. And I think the state probably has some controls out there that protects property rights as well. So how does that fit into our process and our thoughts, our thought process as it moves forward?
Absolutely. So much of our, without getting, this could be another conversation, but there's so much of what we do from a planning and development standpoint is guided by the rules that have been established in Raleigh. And you are absolutely correct. North Carolina is very much a property owners' rights state. They think that the owners should exercise great amount of control over the property, and it does guide the things that we can do or regulate as a community. I think one of the biggest things that you see with that, at least here in Cornelius, is you may get questions sometimes about a project coming out of the ground, getting built, and saying, "Hey, I've lived here for as a citizen, I've lived here 3, 4, 5 years. I don't remember that project ever coming through the system. Where did that come from?" And it's a project maybe that was approved many years ago, but that was approved by a prior board. But that still retains development rights. It still has what we call vesting, and they still have, even though it's taken them longer to get the sticks and bricks together, they still have the right to complete that project based on the money that they've invested in and other factors. So I think that's where we see a lot of that relationship between the rules that have been established by Raleigh.
Yeah, one of the amazing statistics that has just blown my mind, but I've thought about it a lot, is the fact that so many projects that we approve never happen. And I learned the statistics from your predecessor, Wayne Herron. He indicated that in his experience, 20 to 25% of the projects never happen. They just, or no, excuse me, I said that wrong. Only 20 or 25% of the projects that get approved ever happen. So that's a really low number. So, just because something gets approved doesn't mean it's going to happen.
That's right.
And these times have really slowed us down as it relates to interest rates and the economic environment. That's a factor. Bank lending standards and things like that, they all come into play. But we'll be right back. We've got a lot more to talk about. Hear about the plans coming out of the ground in Cornelius when we come right back.
We'll be back with more of About Town, hosted by Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam. Straight ahead on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, we're emerging a bit from our big chill yesterday. Plenty of sunshine. Temperatures will climb back up to around 50 for this afternoon, even some low 50s in some spots around Lake Norman. Tonight, we'll drop it back into the mid and upper 20s once again, back into the low and mid 50s for our Friday. We'll kick off our weekend on a bit of a wet note. Looks like rain likely for our Saturday morning. A bit drier for the afternoon, and an isolated shower possible for our Sunday. That's your forecast for the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Thursday, January 16th, Ryan Winters performs at Bin 110 in Cornelius. Lake Norman's upscale night spot has over 450 whiskeys, 100 wines, and a full cocktail list to go through their live music lineup every Thursday through Saturday. Kick off the weekend early with the Ryan Winters music performance Thursday at Bin 110. Friday night, Bill Douglas performs at the Wine Maestro in Statesville. Join Bill for your favorite pop acoustic songs of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, plus flavorful originals. Bill Douglas performs in downtown Statesville Friday night at the Wine Maestro. Beer Lab in Mooresville presents their Paint and Sip Date Night series this Saturday. Come with your significant other or get your friends together for a fun night of painting and sipping. Meg Art Pottery will bring a variety of painting pieces to choose from. Your $30 ticket includes one pottery piece, paint, glaze, and firing. We will see you Saturday for the Paint and Sip Date Night series at Beer Lab in Mooresville. 'Tis the season to lace up your skates at Birkdale on Ice, happening now through January 26th. Birkdale Village in Huntersville has their ice skating rink ready, and they can't wait to lace up their skates with you. Ice skating reservations to ensure skating time slots are accepted. Walk-ups are also welcome. Go to BirkdaleVillage.com for details, information, and tickets to Birkdale on Ice. At Charlotte Motor Speedway, the action does not stop at being just a spectator at a race. You can drive a NASCAR race car by yourself. If you are looking to grab the wheel and drive a race car or take a NASCAR ride-along, then the Richard Petty driving experience will give you an unforgettable time. Book the Richard Petty driving experience today at 704-886-2400. Visit CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for details and more information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
It's About Town with Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam on 105.9 100.7 WSIC. Local starts here.
And we're back, and you still have an opportunity to call and ask questions, and that would be 844-STUDIO-4. And love to hear from you and get your thoughts or answer your question here. It's a great opportunity here talking about the planning process in the town of Cornelius. Now, you know, there's one really cool thing going on in the town of Cornelius that I am really, really proud of. And it really was instigated by you, the citizens. It's pretty incredible, and that would be the Kane Center for the Arts, a process that I was certainly working hard to make happen, and I'm very proud that it is where it is here in the town of Cornelius now, and doing quite well. But citizens voted on that. I mean, how cool is that to have them turn out and actually vote overwhelmingly on a project for downtown redevelopment in the form of a beautiful art center. And I think about that site. I go to plays there. I try to support them to the extent I can. And I look around and I go, where am I? And the truth is, I am in downtown Cornelius. So with that was the instigation of a process that we knew that whether we liked it or not, our downtown was going to redevelopment. I mean, redevelopment was going to be a key component of our downtown. And we could either choose how to do that or it was going to happen to us. So tell us how we have dealt with it, Rox. I think it's a pretty good story to tell because I'm proud of that process too.
No, absolutely. We are very fortunate to be in the position that we are. Engaging in a process with developing this downtown plan and really kind of charting the future, the next chapter, and probably the longest chapter of downtown Cornelius. As you said, the downtown has been incredibly fortunate the last several years. We've had some great additions to the community. Obviously, the crown jewel with the Kane Center being added. Atrium's added a medical office building several
Yes.
years ago. We have the venue project that's coming out of the ground and will be over there on South Main Street. That'll be opening real soon, and with some commercial and mixed use development, and Kane Park as well. And so we've just had these great successes in downtown that any community should be proud of. But as I learned, when I came on board a couple years ago, is a lot of these decisions were being made just kind of case by case, which is we've been very lucky to and had some great success doing that. But I think there was kind of a pause with all this success that we're having. Let's take a time out and kind of perhaps develop a long range plan to make sure all these pieces connect and that we're ready for that next chapter, so we can really have an energetic and active downtown where people can come and shop and have a place or many places to eat, whether it's before or after a Kane Center event.
Yeah, we've got all these people gathered in our downtown
right.
with nowhere to go.
Very limited opportunities, and we hear it. And then we, as part of the process, met extensively with the Kane Center, both the staff and their boards, to better understand their needs. And that's something that they hear all the time: is where can I eat before or after the show, or get some coffee or something of thereabouts. Where can I stay? Hey, I'm coming in from out of town. I want to stay near the venue. Where can I stay? And it can be a struggle to try to guide those customers. And so the plan is really kind of holistically looking at the type of businesses that we want in downtown. What do we want what scale do we want our downtown? I think we've heard very loud and clearly that we don't want some big metropolis in our downtown. The citizens and the commissioners and everyone is in alignment that we want to retain that small town character.
Absolutely, we do.
Because that's that's what makes it authentic. That's what makes it a destination and unique from any other downtown, or how it separates itself from a shopping center or some kind of newer development. And so those features are so critically important. Getting the street design correct. So folks feel comfortable walking. It's an attractive place to just walk and stroll and navigate in and out of businesses. Making sure that, again, the buildings are of appropriate scale and we have the right businesses in those buildings, and making sure that there are some living opportunities near downtown. But just making sure we have all those ingredients together, making sure people have a place to park. We know folks come from all areas of Cornelius and beyond. They're going to need a place to park. Otherwise, it's going to be a challenge for to get them to come. So where do we put that parking, and how do we accommodate it but and still retain the downtown fabric? So these are all great topics that we're discussing and working on with our experts that we've pulled together.
And citizens are involved, right?
And citizens are involved.
Hundreds. I don't
hundreds.
know.
No.
Is it really hundreds?
Raise up
okay.
Yeah. We have been, and that's the secret ingredient to any good community planning process is bringing in the citizens and business owners. And so we have held community meetings. We've put surveys out, had surveys. We've been to several Cornelius festivals just to grab people, go to the citizens where they are and get their feedback. Tell us what's important to you. What are some sacred things that we shouldn't touch, and what are some things that just need to be wiped off and put something new in. And so we have gotten some fantastic feedback. And the most important part of that is it's been really generally consistent. We don't have. And sometimes in the planning process, you get feedback from all over, so many different directions, and it's kind of hard to bring it all together. The citizens have been fairly consistent. I mean, they want a quality environment, again, where they have more shopping and eating opportunities, and a place like they can just kind of hang out too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I mean, what a cool community. We've got so many elements of it. You've got almost 75 miles of shoreline on a beautiful lake.
Absolutely.
You've got a new medical district, if you will, around a wonderfully constructed and badly needed new hospital in our town. you've got a few entertainment venues around that, and then you've got downtown.
Absolutely.
Which all of these elements are special. They really are, and our town is certainly not like it used to be. I hear citizens, some of the old timers that I grew up with, and I consider myself that as well. It's like, well, we'll never be the same anymore. Well, no, I can't guarantee that we'll ever be the same, but nothing is ever the same as long as we're changing in a good way.
That's right.
And the direction that our citizens really want.
Absolutely.
Talk about some other projects around town. We've focused a little bit in downtown. Well, I guess one of my most asked questions, Rox, is OMB.
Yes, sir.
Is OMB coming?
They're coming, and so they are part of a larger project called Greenway Gardens, kind of behind the Antiquity area off of 115. And so there's a multifamily element to that overall project that actually just broke ground several weeks ago. And so I don't want to speak for the OMB folks, but it's my belief that they probably want to see the infrastructure get put in first with that multifamily component. You got to extend water lines and sewer lines and build up roads and other features. And I suspect that we we'll hear more from them after all that infrastructure is put in, because they're a smaller element to a much bigger piece in that back area. So from all communications that we are aware of, they're still absolutely coming.
That's awesome, and I think there's another brewery that's approved for downtown as well, right?
Yes, sir. Actually, we have the Fruitful Roots Brewery, which is kind of a local enterprise that we're really excited about. They are going to be on 115, just north of the Food Lion, and it's just a great little venue with an indoor and out, places to drink and eat inside, but also outside, and just kind of enjoy the great climate that we have here. And they'll have games and other features there. So yes, they are coming to downtown, and we're thrilled to have them.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome, and it all fits into this process that I give Kane Center the credit for starting all this. But before that, the citizens.
Yes, sir.
It all it got blessed at that level, and that's pretty important. So let's break out of downtown Cornelius and just touch on any other significant projects. I know you can't go over them all. We don't have time today, but
understand.
What else would you put on your list to maybe talk about today?
And before I jump into that, I just want to let our listeners know that all these projects I'll talk about and others that I don't are on the town's planning department website. We have a great little interactive map. You can find properties or find projects in various stages, and click on it and learn more about what's going on in your community. So I just like to give that kind of selfish plug for that great resource that our wonderful staff got to put together. So, but just kind of building on your question, I think one of the great things you've mentioned a little bit is with the Atrium Hospital kind of moving along. I mean, it's just a tremendous facility and a resource to our community. And as we mentioned earlier in the hall, as on my way here, I could see the road improvements actually, with asphalt on the ground and the orange barrels, and that is such a great thing to see. Not only the hospital, the physical building, but actually their road improvements and how that's going to take care of any traffic they generate, but also just be a general relief for that that area. So
we've got that going on, and we've got 3 or 4 additional road projects that are approved. We're going to have a special session on transportation, so we'll have you and Wayne back to
I hope so.
hone in on that one.
That would be
but we have projects that are approved now that are funded and are happening. So the orange barrels are with us.
Yes, sir, they are. Yeah, we are very fortunate. We do have the dual roundabouts on Statesville Road. I think most folks and citizens in Cornelius have seen those. We have the Potts Street roundabout project on the border with Davidson, and we also have North Cross Drive extension. You don't necessarily see that very much, but that's actually very much underway. So we're in a good place in Cornelius.
Roads are happening in Cornelius. We'll talk more about that. Thanks for listening today. It's been a great show. Thank you, Rox Burhans, for being a part of our show today, and we will see you next time. Thanks for listening today. Cornelius Mayor Woody Washam right here.
Thank you.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9 100.7 WSIC.